Hey Steelers family, welcome back to the channel, where we break down everything happening with our Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive into today's hot topic, let me remind you, this team is always fighting to improve and bring us the success we all crave. But sometimes, it feels like the deck is stacked against us, especially after the officiating drama this week. If you love the Steelers and want to see them rise above it all, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Now, let's get into it, because we've got a lot to unpack, from George Pickens calling out the NFL to concerns about depth at key positions. It's no secret the Steelers aren't exactly on good terms with NFL officiating right now. This week, George Pickens didn't hold back, voicing what a lot of us have been thinking. After a questionable penalty during the Eagles game, Pickens took to social media saying, "But we got flagged, but y'all don't think it's a vendetta against the Steelers," followed by a throwing up emoji. Pickens wasn't just venting. The video evidence was crystal clear. Eagles cornerback Darius Slay threw a punch at Steelers tight end Darnell Washington, but somehow, the Steelers ended up being the only team penalized in the scuffle. Coach Mike Tomlin also had plenty to say, refusing to sugarcoat his frustration. "Not a sufficient explanation," Tomlin said when asked about the NFL's response to the incident. He later added, "I didn't read the Poole report because I saw it as it happened." The Poole report, the NFL's official explanation for controversial calls, only added fuel to the fire. Referee Alan Eck claimed, "No punches were observed on the field. There was no video evidence of punches observed by the Philadelphia Eagles." Really? Steelers Nation, what do you think? Was this just another blown call? Or do you agree with Pickens that there's something bigger at play here? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we need to talk about this. As frustrating as the officiating was, it wasn't the only issue. The Steelers' offense had one of its worst performances in years, putting up just 128 passing yards against the Eagles. Without George Pickens on the field due to a lingering hamstring injury, the passing game was completely lifeless. This raises some serious questions about the depth, or lack thereof, at wide receiver. Steelers GM Omar Khan made moves during the offseason, but were they enough? Khan has had his moments of brilliance, like trading for cornerback Dante Jackson. But when it comes to wide receivers, his decisions, or indecisions, are coming back to haunt the team. Former Steelers QB Charlie Batch weighed in on 102.5 DVE saying, "You have George Pickens 850 yards on the season, but the rest of the receiver group as a whole doesn't even have 850 yards combined. So when Pickens is out, there's no threat. Defenses know this, and the Eagles exploited it." Khan had opportunities to bring in top-tier receivers during the offseason, but instead, he settled for Mike Williams at the trade deadline. Williams, however, has barely seen the field since joining the team, even with Pickens sidelined. Steelers Nation, do you think Khan dropped the ball here? Should he have done more to strengthen the wide receiver room? The wide receiver position isn't the only area of concern. While the Steelers' starting corners, Dante Jackson and Joey Porter Jr., have been solid, the depth behind them is paper-thin. Corey Trice Jr., who was supposed to add depth at cornerback, has been out since Week 3. This has left the Steelers vulnerable in a league where passing attacks are more dangerous than ever. The lack of depth at both cornerback and wide receiver is becoming a glaring issue, especially as injuries pile up late in the season. Despite all this, the Steelers are still in the playoff race, having clinched a spot thanks to Week 15 losses by the Colts and Dolphins. But the road ahead isn't easy. Injury concerns, Pickens' hamstring, TJ Watt's ankle, and Jackson's back injury are all question marks heading into Week 16 against Baltimore. Rivalry showdown. Beating the Ravens would secure the AFC North and a home playoff game, but it's a tall order on a short week with a battered roster. Offensive struggles. Without Pickens, the offense needs to find a way to stay competitive. The Ravens game isn't just about the standings. It's about pride, momentum, and proving that this team can overcome adversity. Let's set the stage. Joey Porter Jr., our promising rookie cornerback, has been under the microscope in recent weeks. After a tough outing against the Eagles, he didn't hold back, telling Trib Live's Chris Adamski the refs let them push off. At the end of the day, that's what it is on the tape. A.J. Brown is just one of those guys who you know they aren't going to call it. Porter's frustration is understandable. A.J. Brown is one of the most dominant wide receivers in the league, and his physical play style can push any defender to their limits. But Porter wasn't just calling out Brown, he was pointing a finger at the officiating. This isn't the first time Porter has expressed frustration with the refs. A few weeks ago against the Bengals, he was flagged 6 times. 6. While some of those calls were legitimate, Porter feels like he's being singled out for playing aggressively, something we all know is in his DNA as the son of Steelers legend Joey Porter Sr. Steelers Nation, do you think Porter has a point? Are the refs being unfair to him? Or is this just part of the growing pains for a rookie cornerback? Drop your thoughts in the comments. While Porter has been vocal about his frustrations, head coach Mike Tomlin has kept a cooler head. As we saw on Hard Knocks, Tomlin has one message for Porter. Don't let the penalties mess with your confidence. Tomlin's philosophy is simple. He'd rather see Porter play his game than overthink every move to avoid flags. And let's be real, Steelers fans. We love a physical, hard-nosed corner who isn't afraid to challenge the best receivers in the league. That's the Steelers' way, but Porter isn't taking it lightly. He admitted in an interview with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, "I'm trying to be great at the end of the day, and those flags kind of get in the way. But like Coach Tomlin always says, if he's not tripping and my team's not mad about it, then I just got to keep playing and doing my job." Porter went on to say, "At this point, it feels like they're trying to alter my play, but I'm not really worried about that. I feel like I'm not doing anything the average DB isn't doing. I just got to keep working." What do you think, Steelers fans? Should Porter keep his aggressive style, or does he need to adjust to the way the game is being called? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, officiating. Steelers fans have long felt like the league has it out for us. From questionable penalties to missed calls, it sometimes feels like we're playing against 12 men instead of 11. Porter's comments add fuel to that fire. When he says, "I got that target on my back," it's hard not to wonder if the refs are giving him extra scrutiny because of his physical play style, or even because of his name. And let's not forget, this isn't just about Joey. George Pickens recently called out the league for what he described as a vendetta against the Steelers after a controversial penalty against the Eagles. So, Steelers Nation, here's the big question. Is this just bad officiating, or do you think the league really has it out for the Steelers? Let us know in the comments, because this debate is far from over. Now it's your turn, Steelers fans. 1. Do you agree with George Pickens? Is there a vendetta against the Steelers, or is this just another case of bad officiating? 2. Should Omar Khan have done more to address depth at wide receiver and cornerback? If you were GM, what moves would you have made? 3. How confident are you heading into this week's Ravens game? Can the Steelers pull off a win and clinch the AFC North? Let's get the conversation going in the comments below. Your passion is what keeps this team and this community strong. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more Steelers content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Together, we'll cheer this team on through every high and low. Thanks for watching, Steelers Nation, and as always, here we go, Steelers.